Yes, and welcome to a brand new episode of the KickOut. I'll go by the name of Skillet. And before we start off this show, I would like to give a huge shout out to Hooked on Wrestling with my man Ash Rose from Gorilla Position and Paul with the greatest, hottest takes in WWE. Check their podcast out; it's brilliant. I was privileged to be a guest on this show earlier this week. I reunited with my good friend Ash. Man, it felt so good to be sharing the mic with that guy. That's one of my favorite people. And we talked about wrestling, and his co-host Paul has some great hot takes, which we will be talking about on this show. And I'll shout them out as I mentioned the hot takes that he made. But he made some really interesting hot takes, which I think are something that everybody should listen out for. So yes, please check out for Hooked on Wrestling. But forget all of that, because we are the KickOut Podcast. Yep. And we have a new episode. Shout outs to my boy Mex in the building. How you doing, Mex?
I'm very good. Happy to be back recording. And, we're 1 week out now from the 2-night takeover, 2-night mania. So despite it not being as exciting as recent years, I think, once it gets to the actual nights of the shows, it's going to be pretty good stuff. So looking forward to that.
Absolutely. I mean, we say it time and time again. Oh, the car's not really looking great for Mania. Oh, this car's looking a bit shaky. And then on the night, they deliver. I mean, obviously, there has been examples where they may not have delivered, but majority of the time, and we all know at the time that we're in right now, next week is going to be a bit of a doozy. I really believe they're going to pull out all the stops next week.
Definitely.
Let's talk about, before we even talk about WWE and the road to WrestleMania, and we'll get into some AEW action. Let's start off with NXT, which is obviously a WWE program. NXT is next week, the part 1, part 2, two-nighter takeover starts next week. The first time ever NXT has ever done this in the road to WrestleMania. Mex, let's have a chat about what happened at NXT this week, and let's talk about what we think is going to happen next week.
Well, the main angle on this week's show is all about selling the big main event of night 1 of TakeOver Stand and Deliver, which is Io Shirai versus Raquel Gonzalez, women's NXT title on the line. Just a great story told. Like, Raquel Gonzalez has more or less come from obscurity, being repackaged, being the henchman of Dakota Kai, to now, front and center. In the last 6 months, she's been brilliant. Pinned Io Shirai at War Games back in November, has been on a tear ever since. And now, next week she's gonna have the biggest match of her career, facing Io Shirai, and Io Shirai handpicked her as the next challenger. Io Shirai is not backing down. She's not playing victim as the baby face. There's even a part where she got beaten up on the show tonight, and Mackenzie, one of the interviewers, said to her, "Have you bitten off more than you can chew here, picking a fight with Raquel Gonzalez?" And she said, "This is exactly why I picked her." So Io Shirai is not prepared to be a passenger in all of this. She wants to really test herself. I think this is a step too far. I do think, the old saying, strike while the iron is hot. Raquel Gonzalez is hotter than ever right now. She's the big woman. So in terms of believability, it's very easy for her to beat Io Shirai, despite Io Shirai being a great, wrestler that she is. She could lose to Raquel Gonzalez just because of the size difference between the two ladies. But just a really well-booked story. And I think, just on the timeline, just before we came today, myself, some others were just saying that the NXT Women's title is the most valuable and well-booked title in the entirety of WWE. Since its inception, the people that have held it, the stories that have been told, they just look after this title so well. And, this is just...
Wait. You don't think the 24/7 title they deserve?
That title is a Ron Killings R-Truth homage title. And he's brilliant with it. But this title's amazing. NXT Women's title.
No, that's a good take, actually. Yes, they have carefully booked the NXT Women's title to perfection. I'm gonna try. Well, I don't think there's much examples I can give that's been better than that. There's always been slip-ups in other booking of other titles. So, yeah, okay, I'm going to give you that. All right. And I'm assuming that's going to be the main event of night 1.
So that's the main event of night 1. We had some backstage kind of packages, vignettes of Finn Balor and Karrion Kross, which is the main event of night 2. Again, some vignettes of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, which is the co-main event for night 2. So those were the main things, but none of those guys were on the show. We also had a battle royal to determine who was going to be in the gauntlet match for the North American Championship. So the last 6 competitors, which were Leon Ruff, Swerve Scott, Bronson Reed, Dexter Loomis, Cameron Grimes, and the eventual winner of the Battle Royal, LA Knight, they're going to face off in a gauntlet match on night 1 of the takeover, and the winner of the gauntlet match is going to face Johnny Gargano on night 2 for the North American Championship.
Okay, so that's what we're figuring out. Okay, all right, okay. Let's talk about Walter and Tommaso Ciampa. First and foremost, Max, are you looking forward to this match, and are you happy with the build they've done so far?
Yeah, I think it's been really good. You know, it's all about Tommaso Ciampa trying to get his friend back in Timothy Thatcher. They're trying to kind of recruit him over to Imperium. And he's kind of called out Walter, who is the head of Imperium, so to speak, challenged him to a UK championship match at night 1, I believe it is, of the takeover. And I think, you know, Walter in his last few big headline matches, he just tore the house down, man. These are like 4.5, 5-star level matches every single time. And Ciampa, you know, we haven't seen the best of him in recent years due to injury, this, that, and the other. Probably haven't seen the best of him since about 2018 or so. But I think Walter's the guy to bring it out of him. I do think it'll be a losing effort from Tommaso Ciampa, but I think it'll be a great match.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Tommaso is walking out the champion, but yes, a great match will be had nonetheless. Let's talk about the tag team championship match, the triple threat match. Is any of these 3 competitors are the tag team champions?
No. So So Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan were the tag team champions. Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan had a match 2 weeks ago now with Karrion Kross and Finn Balor with the tag team championships on the line. And Danny Burch, he's done something to his shoulder or arm in that match. So long-term layoff, 6 months, I believe they said. So they were stripped of the tag team titles. So this match is basically to crown new tag team champions. Legado del Fantasma versus MSK versus Grizzled Young Veterans.
Who's your money on?
I think it's kind of got to be MSK. Like, MSK won the Dusty Classic, so they were going to get the number 1 contenders match against Burch and Lorcan anyway. Maybe they can give it to Grizzled Young Veterans, because I think they're a bit overdue, the titles, and maybe MSK could chase it, you know, be the faces, chase it and get it off them. Personally, I want to see Legado del Fantasma hold all the gold. Obviously, Santos Escobar is the cruiserweight champion. He's got his own takeover match against Devlin for the cruiserweight championship in a ladder match to unify those titles, because Devlin has one, Santos Escobar has one. So I want to see Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde pick up the tag team championships. So I
think they will. The reason why I think they will is Raul Mendoza has been in NXT for a very, very
grinding.
He's been grinding silently, just doing his thing, been part of some really important matches for other wrestlers to elevate. And I feel like, knowing Triple H, you probably give him that. This is your moment. Go ahead, kid.
Make yourself a name.
Make yourself a name, kid. This is your moment, Raul. And then, you know, and I think you, like, obviously not to disregard his partner, but you know what I mean? I feel like it's like when Street Profits won. It was like, it was really good for Angelo Dawkins, because Angelo Dawkins has been on NXT since his inception, you know, like finding that perfect partner for him. So I can see them.
I was following Joaquin Wilde a couple of weeks ago. He said, you know, he had some like major injury before he came to NXT. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it was like a car crash or even something crazy happened to him and he nearly died. And he's saying just, you know, how grateful he was that he was told he'll never even like walk again. He's wrestling again. And now he's in his first ever takeover match. So
that's crazy.
You know,
great story. And there's a lot of great stories like that in the world of wrestling, don't you think? Don't you agree? There's so many great stories like that. So
look at the main event of, you know, what should be, I guess, main event night 2 WrestleMania. The likes of Reigns, leukemia, Edge, you know, he was retired for years on end. Brian as well, another one that's come back from injury. All 3 men are about to main event WrestleMania. It's crazy, bro.
We're definitely going to talk about that. All right, night 2, the Women's Tag Team Championship. Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart versus Candice LeRae and
Indy Hartwell.
Oh, is it Indy Hartwell as a partner?
Yeah.
Oh, see, this is how I've been missing out,
They're in
man.
some faction called The Way, along with Austin Theory
Then
and
Austin Theory,
Johnny
right?
Gargano.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, all right. I could see Ember Moon and Shotzi retaining this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. Build up these titles, make them credible for a bit. Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart beat Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai on the first night that these titles were made. So I think if they hot potato the titles again, it might annoy people. So these two will probably
who do you think is going to face Gargano for the North American Championship?
Dexter Lumis, and I think he's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've wanted to put the title on him for a while. He got injured before they done a North American Championship ladder match some months back. I think like middle of last year. He got injured just before it, so he missed it. And they've been telling a story with him and this faction, The Way, where he's kind of been doing, well, he kidnapped Austin Theory. Indy Hartwell's kind of fallen in love with him. So it's a bit of a kind of joke / serious story that they're telling, but I think this is Dexter Lumis. Johnny Gargano doesn't need this title. He doesn't really need any title in NXT right now.
Right.
He's just like one of the forefathers of NXT at this point. No title is helping him in any sense, but Dexter Lumis, I kind of expect him to at least get to this night 2 and face Johnny Gargano if he's not going to win it at the very least.
Are we happy with Lumis?
I'm not really into the character.
I'm not sold.
I like when I think October when they done their Halloween Havoc thing, and he had like his House of Horrors match, which I think he had against Cameron Grimes. That's like the peak of what he can do, because he is like a spooky, like serial killer kind of character. But like outside of like a gimmick like that, like I don't know, like can this guy ever translate to the main roster? Like not talking, not cutting promos. You see what I mean? It's just it's got a ceiling.
The next match, you know what? I kind of got excited on Hooked on Wrestling, and I made a hot take that thinking that Kyle O'Reilly and Cole will steal the night and could arguably be one of the greatest NXT matches of all time. Because but only because I've seen what they can do and what they've done.
Likewise, yeah.
But if I'm using my head, this next match we're going to talk about might actually steal the show. Jordan Devlin, Santos Escobar. Devlin's been on hiatus for a long time. Hasn't been in the wrestling ring for a while. He was in, the middle of COVID struck, and he was stuck, so they had to make a new cruiserweight title. And I called it in KickOut a few weeks ago that Shawn Michaels would come out and do the whole cruiserweight versus cruiserweight, like they did the IC versus IC with Razor Ramon. I like the way they handled it in NXT. Shawn Michaels didn't come out and make a speech saying, "I remember when I had the IC and Razor had the IC." He just pulled out the ladder. There you go. This is how you guys solve this issue. Really good, really well booked. Devlin is a phenomenal talent. Escobar is a phenomenal talent. I still gonna go with Kyle O'Reilly and Cole might steal the night, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is the surprise stealer. Where's your thought?
It was a great shout. I mean, that would have been up there for one of my picks. I did think that even this match that's been added on today's episode of NXT, Pete Dunne versus Kushida, that's going to be on night 1, I think.
Oh, is it?
Another potential to steal the
that's going to be a crazy match.
We're being treated. We're being treated in the next week for brilliant matches all over the place.
Let's go. Let's talk about it. Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole. This is going to be crazy. Unsanctioned match. This is going to be great. This is going to be a wild ride.
Like my only thing, and maybe I'm thinking too far in advance, is just like what happens to the winner, to the loser. Like I feel like it has to kind of be loser leaves NXT, but they haven't added any kind of stipulation like that. It's only unsanctioned, like you said. I think Kyle O'Reilly needs to win. He's had 2 high-profile matches with Finn Balor for the title, lost both of them. This doesn't go any way to building Kyle O'Reilly's star if he loses again. And Adam Cole doesn't need to win.
I agree.
Adam Cole. So
I think this should be a match that elevates Kyle O'Reilly to that main event status of NXT, and then push Cole to Raw.
The loser has to leave NXT.
Show up at Raw, or maybe SmackDown. Who knows?
Just on that point as well, we had a match on this last night's episode of NXT of Roderick Strong versus Cameron Grimes, and Cameron Grimes, to distract Roderick Strong, he pulled out an Undisputed Era armband from his trunks and threw it at Roderick Strong. Roderick Strong picked up the UE armband that was like looking at it, reminiscing, I guess, on the good old days. Got distracted. We saw the stomp from Cameron Grimes onto Roderick Strong, and he lost the match. And afterwards, he just literally went to the locker room, picked up his bags, his suitcase, and walked out. He just walked out the door. And Mackenzie, the interviewer, was asking him, like, where you going, Roddy? What's going on? He said, I'm done. He just walked out. So, again, I think because of the story and everything, it would be good to see him maybe turn up on the main roster after WrestleMania. I do fear that if that's the case, he will become one of many that never get a good go on the roster. I mean, if we're all honest with ourselves, he's not the most exciting of personalities, but he is a great wrestler. So it will be hard for him to thrive on the main roster. But interesting to see where they're going with the angle of him walking out on NXT anyway.
Finn Balor, Karrion Kross, NXT Championship. Karrion Kross was the NXT champion before he got injured. Finn Balor came in, took the title. Karrion Kross is back to reclaim his gold. Where do you see this going?
Finn Balor is gonna win, I think, and Karrion Kross may head to the main roster. Or, I mean, if they could give it back to Karrion Kross, because obviously he never lost this title, he just dropped it due to injury. But then, you know, what does Finn Balor do? Does Finn Balor go back to the main roster? It's a bit of a hard one. My gut is telling me that Finn Balor's gonna retain, but I don't know. What do you think?
You think Finn Balor's gonna retain?
Yeah, that's what my gut's telling me.
Nah, I think this was a stopgap, and Karrion Kross is going to get it back. I think they've got plans for Karrion, and they're going to continue it once Finn is done, for sure.
Do you think after Karrion wins, then that Finn Balor's going back to the main roster, like straight away?
I hope so. I don't know that for sure. I hope he does. I'd like to see him
same, but I don't know.
We got to see a few questions before we get into some more news of Hall of Fame and AEW. We got a question here. Some of these questions are something we can talk about after Raw, but we got a question from Bruno the Red 24/7. What do you think non-wrestling fans think when you're talking about a handicap match?
I don't know. We'll have to ask a non-wrestling fan, but ultimately, if we look at the word handicap, it's, you know, when something's against you sort of thing. You see what I mean? When the odds are against you sort of thing. So like even in other sports where they use the word handicap, it's you're at a disadvantage. So I hope it doesn't go to anyone's mind that this is anything immediately to do with having a disability. But yeah, it just means that the odds are stacked against you, I guess.
Shout out to our brother Roy Johnson, Big Wavy. Another weird question from Roy. What is the optimal duration and location for a power nap?
Do you take naps, Skillet? Because I don't.
Yeah. I don't take it frequently, but there's times where I know that if I go to sleep now, I'm going to get up in a few hours and be up late. So yeah, sometimes I take naps, and a nice warm setting, you know. Sometimes you can get, you know what's really perfect for a nap? You know, those bean bags.
Yeah.
Oh, bean bags are perfect. Put the bean bag down, put a little small pillow, put your legs up. You just knock out in 20 seconds. It's perfect. So I'm gonna say bean bag will be the ideal bed location, you know, in a quiet room somewhere, or it'll be nice to do that on the beach. Power naps are for beaches, my friend.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing you're worried about is if you have a phone with you. I feel like you could power nap gloriously back in the day before phones was a thing. Before mobile phones. Like you don't have to worry about a mobile phone. The only thing that probably someone would steal from you is like a picnic basket or a book. But you could just sleep, chill back. But now you got mobile phones, so I get paranoid. Yeah. We'll get to some more questions because a lot of it revolves around W. But there's one last one. JPR, big up JPR, who was a guest on the show a few weeks back. Yep. He says, "Hey guys, you're on the road to DOA Wrestling UK. Nice little plug. on August the 7th at Great Yarmouth. What song you bumping in your eardrums to get you in the mood? So for whatever, like when you maybe you're traveling to a live show, wrestling show, what kind of music you listen to get you in the mood for some wrestling?
I don't have a go-to for that particular reason, if I'm completely honest. But usually when I'm about to do some type of physical activity, whether it's the gym or like I'm doing like a warm-up before I play football, it's always Kurt Angle's theme tune.
You mentioned this before, especially
the go-to
when you work out, innit? When you work out,
it is the go-to. The minute I'm turning that machine on and I'm starting, that is that I need to hear that. It puts me in the mind frame. Like, I love it.
There's been times I've gone to the shop, right? I'm not in the mood to go to the shop, and I'm a bit tired. I was like, I gotta go shop. I gotta get some groceries. Put on my earbuds. So go out. Shock to the system. And you strut down like you're a member of the Undisputed.
That is a banger.
People in the cars looking at you like some weirdo. I'm walking down like I'm a bad boy. Yeah, that helps. Back in the day, back in my Walkman cassette days, when you used to record off cassette tapes, I used to bump a lot of NWO music and Razor Ramon. Used to do that. I used to do the Razor Ramon strut. Yeah, those are the good old days. But nowadays I would say Undisputed Era theme for me. Yeah. Okay, let's keep it moving. Before we talk about AEW, let's talk about Hall of Fame. WWE Hall of Fame 2021 and 2022 are gonna, be on 2 nights next week. That also getting a 2-night show, Hall of Fame?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, they're merging it all together.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see not only the 2020, because obviously we already know who the 2020 class is, and now we've figured out who the 2021 class is. I'm assuming the last induction was RVD, but we'll talk about that. I'm also interested because one of my favorite things they've done since 2016 in Hall of Fame is the legacy wing, when they give respect and props to those who deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but for some reason they're not in it, but they still acknowledge their contribution to the world of wrestling. I love the legacy wing. I absolutely love it. So I'm looking forward to see who they induct in this week. It's always some great.
Can I ask why you love it? Isn't that a bit of a slap in the face? It's like, you're half inducted or what? Like,
I hear what you're saying, but sometimes it's not about because a lot of the people that get inducted to the legacy wing has never really wrestled for WWE. A lot of it is just acknowledging their contribution to the world of wrestling, and I love that. I absolutely love that because that's what WWE should have been doing from the start. It's not just about if it's graced WWE, because what they do is a lot of people get confused with WWE with the induction Hall of Fame because they see it as like if somebody's done something. Or wrestled the day in WWE. Like I remember when people were saying, but Sting has only wrestled a few matches for WWE. How can he be in the WWE Hall of Fame? It's not about it's what Sting's done overall in his career. But yes, because the fact that he has wrestled in WWE, they will give him the Hall of Fame. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like when people were complaining about Coco Beware being inducted, I'm like, Coco Beware, if you ever looked in his history back in Memphis, he was a star. Like he was a bona fide star. Like he's Hall of Fame for sure. So and I'm glad that they mentioned Bruiser Brody a couple of years ago. They mentioned so many wrestling. I think they're going to probably mention Dynamite Kid eventually. They can't put him in because he's got a controversial.
Yeah.
But in terms of contribution, they could. But that's one way they can get by it.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, we won't give him the Hall of Fame, but we'll definitely give him the legacy wing. We'll definitely acknowledge what he's done. So no, it's really good. I'm excited to see who they're going to put in this year. But let's run down. First of all, let's talk about 2020. Batista got removed from the 2020 list because they probably want to give him his fruits.
That's what we all assumed, that we thought maybe because there's no crowd that he will just do it when there's a crowd. But apparently he came out and said he's actually not being part of this current group because he can't make it to the actual event because of other commitments, so he will be inducted at a later date with a later class.
I think that makes sense.
He couldn't travel or whatever the case may have been.
Off the top of my head, let me know if I'm missing anyone. I'm thinking, right, so to 2020 Hall of Fame, the British Bulldog, Juicen Thunder Liger. The woman that's been inducted in 2020 is who again?
The Bellas.
The Bella Twins, yes. The NWO, you got Hall, Nash, X-Pac, Hogan. Am I missing anyone? Oh, JBL.
Yes, JBL.
JBL is going to be in that class as well. And I think that's it.
I remember, yeah.
That's quite short. And then in this year's, you got Molly Holly, the Great Khali. You've got Kane, Eric Bischoff, and Rob Van Dam. I think we're going to hear from DJ Ace. I think Ace is coming in right now, I believe. I think he's going to log into the stream because I would like to hear Ace's take on Rob Van Dam being inducted to the 2021 Hall of Fame. Me personally, I'll just start off and say, well deserved. In my opinion, should be the headline act. He should be the last person coming on stage talking. I'm sure they're going to give that to Kane because Kane's probably the bigger name. Kane is the bigger name, I guess, in the world of wrestling in terms of popularity. Kane is the biggest star at RVD, but I would give that to RVD. I think in terms of what he's done to the business, he's changed the business as well. His in-ring style is different. No one's ever done his style since or before. He's changed the game. He's influenced a whole plethora of wrestlers, just like how Shawn did, but not as great as Shawn did. I'm not saying that, but he had influence, especially this generation of wrestlers today. Obviously, a huge generation for that. ECW, flew the flag for ECW when ECW wasn't that popular. I remember when he was in an episode of City Guys. I don't even remember City Guys, the Peter Engel show. Same creator of Saved by the Bell. I remember RVD being an episode of City Guys when he was in his prime in ECW, and I'm thinking, what? Okay, because I didn't know ECW was that popular like that, but of course it would be. Ace, how are you? We were just talking about RVD being inducted to the 2021 Hall of Fame. Give us some of your thoughts on that, my friend.
Yeah, man, we're very well deserved, man. I think I feel like he hasn't really got his flowers. I feel like we forget about like that moment when he was the man. He was the actual man. Like he was WWE champion. Like the pops when he used to come out are crazy, insane pops. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know what?
Well deserved.
Do you remember that really bad year of in terms of booking that WWE did in 2001? Like even though the viewing figures was through the roof, they were making so much money, but the booking was terrible. And the best thing I think the best two things of 2001 was Austin on the mic, because Austin was hilarious and that crazy invasion nonsense, and RVD's in-ring work. RVD was stealing the show week in, week out. He was getting himself over, and RVD for me so deserves this. Max, let me hear some of your thoughts.
That's when he was calling himself Mr. Monday Night, right?
Well, no, he called himself Mr. Monday Night from 1997 because there was a ECW WWE invasion.
Okay.
And then Heyman, and then they coined the phrase Mr. Monday Night from then. Okay. Heyman was calling him it back then, but so they brought that back when he joined back to WWE to do this storyline. But remember that match he had with Jeff Hardy in that invasion match? That was incredible. Like his series with Jeff Hardy, RVD. But what's your thoughts, Max, on RVD being inducted to the 2021 Hall of Fame?
One of my childhood favorites, along with the likes of Jeff Hardy. So very happy to see it. Again, like Ace said, someone that has never really been given his flowers. I think because of maybe the length of his stints in WWE have kind of been like on and off, and he's done some work in TNA and other places as well. But definitely someone that, like you said, kind of changed up how wrestlers should be perceived in terms of their size, in terms of their style. So it's good that he's recently turned 50. I think at the end of last year, he seems to be packing it in now in terms of wrestling. So no better time to kind of acknowledge him in this position.
Yeah, for sure. We don't have Tay on the show today, but let's talk about WWE because Ace has now joined us, and we could talk about AEW at the end. But Tay had some interesting things to say. She said obviously she couldn't make the show today. She said the only thing she has to say is that SmackDown was good. We all saw the twist coming. Good call. More excited. Raw was trash. Hella trash. Like I was watching theater in a town hall. Let's talk about Raw. Ace.
Yeah, where do you want to start?
Well, let's start off with let's talk about what everybody wants to talk about and everybody's upset about. The whole internet was really upset about it. I even messaged a member of this faction the night it happened. Hurt Business splitting up, Ace. Was this a good decision? Was this a good idea? Does this make any sense to you? Let me hear it.
To me, it's so bad a decision that I don't think it's actually a thing. Do you understand what I mean?
You think it's a ruse?
Yeah, I feel like we're being hoodwinked here. It's so bad. It's so bad a decision. It just doesn't make sense to me as to why. I can't find a positive. I can't find not one positive. I can't.
So what do are you saying that you think on Raw next week they're gonna reunite, or they're gonna reunite at Mania and make Lashley win?
I think they have to. I think if they're gonna reunite, it should be at Mania. I did have I said in the group, I said like my dream booking would be that they reunite at Mania, maybe without Shelton, and then they bring Ricochet in, and Cedric and Ricochet become the tag team, and that's the Hurt Business. That would be ideal to me. But this inclusion of Baron Corbin kind of throws that out the window.
So there's rumors and speculation that it might be a case of like what you just said, Ace, might happen because there's a isn't it, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a stipulation that the Hurt Business cannot attend on ringside?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what they do is, ringside. But then Shelton and Cedric does attend because they're no longer in the Hurt Business, and then they reform the Hurt Business.
Right.
I think that's too good to be true. I think WWE don't think like that. I think they have split up this faction. Unfortunately, they might bring in new members.
No, but why, Skillet? Why? What would be
because they probably want Drew to get cheered.
Let me tell you.
They probably know the popularity of Hurt Business. They probably know that this might backfire because we all know what WWE fans are like. As soon as you change something and we don't like it, so you might think going into Mania this is gonna work because now fans are gonna really cheer Drew because now Lashley's with Corbin and people don't like Corbin, so that's the reason why they're giving the Corbin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, WWE fans might be going to be chanting, "We want Hurt Business" throughout the whole night. This probably will backfire again, and it's the same thing will happen with the Yes chance with Daniel Bryan. I don't know, but Max, what's your thoughts?
You hit the nail on the head. The minute they involved Corbin, who is probably the most hated person in WWE for whatever reason, that's the minute you knew, right? Everything they've built up with Hurt Business and everything they've built up with Bobby Lashley, they just want to completely throw it away now because we need to get everyone on the night of WrestleMania cheering for Drew McIntyre. So, let's remove Shelton, let's remove Cedric. Maybe that won't be enough. Let's send out Corbin with Bobby Lashley. And now everyone for sure is going to hate this affiliation. And yeah, we're going to be in Drew's corner. MVP has come out, by the way, and said that Baron Corbin is not part of the Hurt Business. He tweeted that because I think people were thinking that this is like a new shape Hurt Business. So yeah, he's come out and cleared the air on that. But yeah, I think the whole point throwing Corbin in there, who is a SmackDown superstar, is literally just to get the heat so that no one's a Bobby Lashley fan going into the Mania match, so that the transition to Drew being champion will be an easy one.
Well, the fact that MVP is still talking like Hurt Business is still a thing might prove Ace's theory. There might be a new Hurt Business forming at Mania, so maybe Ricochet will be one of them. I can see it being Ricochet, but why not keep Cedric? Cedric's been doing phenomenal work on the Hurt Business.
Definitely. But that's I did say, like, I noticed that Cedric didn't take any offense, any of the offense.
Yeah, you said that
on Monday. Obviously, Shelton had the match. There was a part where Cedric ran away even before, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, keep all of these things, man. Hopefully, who knows?
Do you think Vince will say, Apollo, go out there, we form a new nation of domination, a tribe?
Sorry, quickly, yeah. If this was like a way to out Shelton from the Hurt Business, let's just say this was my fantasy booking did happen. Would this be a good opportunity for a Shelton run as a face?
I just don't think. I think we're past that.
That's just not gonna happen. Like, he could be like the anti. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he would be the foil for them now. No?
The thing is, if they had a mid-title, mid-title in their ranks, maybe, and he could target that specifically. But I don't think anything.
Don't get me wrong. You know I love Shelton. Like, Shelton's a legend. Unfortunately, he doesn't have the juice he once had anymore. especially in the ring. But I think Shelton will probably get a one-on-one solos match. Maybe go against Lashley at one point, but no, they're not gonna put any fuel behind Shelton. I'm sorry.
Okay,
it's a shame. I feel they should have kept Shelton. I don't know what they're thinking with this whole split up. It's all crazy to me. There's a few questions from people who are upset about this whole storyline. Shout out to Nathan Stokes at Nathan Stokes 08. Do you think WWE blew one of the hottest angles / storylines of all time when the place was being ambushed? Oh, okay. Now this is actually about Retribution. So let's quickly go about this question about Hurt Business. Kofi, big up Kofi, a regular listener to the Kick Out. Boma Enoch, why did they break up the Hurt Business? For no flipping reason. I'm fuming. And then Horito James says, after the destruction of the only good thing about Raw, the Hurt Business, and the absolute shit show that was Retribution, are factions dead in the WWE? I mean, WWE's always had a really bad track record when it comes to factions. I mean, Evolution made it through, but that was looking shaky at one point. DX, they're broken up and reunited over and over again. The WWE doesn't seem to like factions.
I feel like they just don't lean into it. I feel like they could. I feel like they have opportunities to have amazing factions, so many different ideas from different people that could link up, and I feel like you'll see you'll get the sniffings of a faction forming, and then all of a sudden you won't see those people together again. But I think they just need to lean into it more. But I don't think for some strange reason they don't want to. You look at Undisputed Era, that is sick. And that worked for a long period of time. So I feel like they just got to lean into it like they did with those guys.
WWE is like the one place that has the most talent that needs factions to get everyone, into some type of limelight on TV. The likes of AEW, New Japan, they use factions so much, and they don't even have anywhere near the amount of talent that WWE do. So they definitely need to use it more. But I think we said this last week. At the end of the day, with Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business, we all got carried away with what we were enjoying. We have known for a long time their plan was to put Drew in the WWE title picture for WrestleMania and him to win it in front of a crowd. And we got carried away through some great booking that they did with Bobby Lashley to get him to where he was. But, ultimately they could have just kept on this track where everyone was enjoying and, liking what they see. But they went back to what they always planned, and that's Drew winning the title at WrestleMania. So
another question. So this is that Nathan Stokes question about storylines and factions. Do you think WWE blew one of the hottest storylines of all time when they ambushed it, when Retribution ambushed the scene with chainsaws, people being beaten up out of nowhere, anarchy everywhere? Was Retribution wasted? Because when they first did that, I didn't really get. People were trying to compare that to when Nexus debuted. I didn't really get that. It was a decent showing. But I didn't think it was like, oh, wow, this is going to be something special. I don't know. What did you guys think when Retribution first came on the scene?
Oh, I was excited about Retribution at the beginning. But then, week by week, it's like they was changing the narrative of Retribution. So it was the first week, it was look, we're against, the system and contracts and being part of all of this shit. And then the next week, it was all right, we're going to stop attacking people because you've given us a contract. When we against, it was weird. It was just every week, their message was changing, and it was then they were if you're so reckless, why are you even in matches? Why are you just not walking around beating people? I don't think there was a long-term plan. I think the short term was shock factor, rogue wrestlers in masks, and everyone's wow. But then it was okay, what is the reason why? Whereas Nexus was definitely. It was thought out. We knew why these men were angry. We knew why they were pissed. We knew why they were. It just made more sense. Yeah. So it started off the shock factor worked for me, but there was just no plan going forward.
I agree.
Nexus, when they came onto the scene, they destroyed the place, and then that final shot was them standing stoically. I think was it over John Cena's body?
Yeah.
Just standing stoically, looking into the camera. When Retribution first attacked on Raw and first attacked on SmackDown, everything, they blew up, and it was like, yeah, high-fiving each other, like, yeah, amazing, blah, blah, blah. They went on to SmackDown, tore up the place with chainsaw. The guy looked at someone else like, oh, I can't believe I just done that. Like, we're so cool. Like, there was never like Ace is saying, we're against the establishment here. Like, this was like kids, like, you know, like Asbo level kids behavior. Like, let's destroy some stuff. Let's spray some graffiti here and there. Like, there was never any real oomph behind anything they were doing. And then, of course, they went on to sign contracts, because that's what you do. People that are destroying things in your industry, you go and give them contracts. And then, yeah, you know, well, then they're not together now, but yeah.
Let's talk about Riddle channeling his inner Sid Vicious and Sid Justice with messing up a promo. And we're live, pal. Max, what did you think of Riddle stopping halfway through this promo? Did you see this, Ace?
No, I saw a clip of it on Twitter. I didn't see it. I think when I watched it back, they're taking it out.
Right.
This couldn't have happened to anyone better. Like, with it being Riddle and in a scene with Asuka, it's like it's the two perfect people for this to happen, because Riddle is probably the one person allowed to forget his line and kind of just walk off screen. And Asuka, obviously, with her craziness, her eccentricity, could just kind of sell it like, what just happened, sort of thing. Apparently, Riddle never knew the camera was like actually live picking them up. He thought that, like, literally Asuka apparently just walked up to him and said, oh yeah, how are you, and all this kind of stuff. And he just went on talking, and then like apparently he didn't think it was like live TV. Maybe he thought they were shooting something for the website or something. I don't know. But
if this was classic Vince Russo booking, they would have repeated this mistake week in, week out. Am I right, Ace?
Yeah, 100%.
They would have get Riddle doing this all the time. I kind of wish they do that, to be honest. I don't know.
Sheamus has done a little make fun of him sort of thing. He there's a video going around online today of Sheamus riding up to Asuka on a scooter and saying, oh, you know, they would love these in Ireland and stuff like that. And they start chatting, and then he's like, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say, and he just rides off.
Because I think MVP trolled him as well at Raw Talk, where MVP and him were talking, and he said, "You know what, Riddle?" I can't remember what I was gonna say. MVP got him too. But one thing I was concerned about was, you know, how I called it that Sheamus was gonna win the United States Championship at WrestleMania. Well, Sheamus beat Riddle clean on Raw, so that's not gonna happen.
Clean. I don't think it's gonna happen.
No. I mean, why do they do this stuff, man? It's ridiculous.
I still think this should be a multi-man match of some sort, but they've already kind of announced it, haven't they? So,
who else would you have in this match?
Just anyone that's not doing anything. Ricochet.
Ricochet.
I don't know. There's probably some
Ali.
Yeah. There's some good guys they can throw in there, make an entertaining match, but it looks like they've already, you know, set on and announced Sheamus versus Riddle. So.
What was the program going forward with Rhea Ripley? Did she do anything with Asuka this week? I can't remember.
Done a contract signing. Very, very tame again for someone that's calling themselves the Nightmare. She flipped over a table onto Asuka, and as she did that, Asuka completely sold, you know, that this table knocked her out because she didn't stand up again in this segment. And then, as they have been doing, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax came down to the ring and basically said, you know, is this meant to be the women's championship match? Where are our opportunities? And next week, the Raw before WrestleMania, we're getting Rhea Ripley and Asuka versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. Just complete laziness, and just booking these tag championships in every women's title picture is just a joke. Like, it's they're just repeating the same old booking techniques. Anything else to talk about on Raw that was quite significant? Because I feel like this was a really bad episode. So not really, not that I can think of. Made Drew McIntyre look good. Obviously, he went backstage and he had the money on his head, and, you know, he went around saying, you know, everyone should attack me, basically. Braun, why don't you attack me? Braun was like, oh, that if you win the championship, I'll be the first to come and get you after WrestleMania. He attacked Angel Garza. He attacked Carrillo backstage. Andrew Gulak. Ricochet said that, it's not my style to come and sneak attack you. I'll meet you in the ring. They had a match. Ricochet lost straight after. Ali came in and, had a short match with Drew McIntyre before the whole Bobby Lashley and Baron Corbin thing happened. So, 2 back-to-back wins like that, I guess they're making Drew look strong, look even stronger.
And the fact that Drew defeated Ricochet recently might give Ace's theory some juice.
Yeah. I don't think Ace is like far off in terms of maybe what could happen, sort of thing.
Ricochet is definitely turning heel, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I want to see it.
He needs to. He needs something for him.
We got to speculate on one thing though on Raw. No Samoa Joe. Obviously, MVP was filling the commentary space on the desk. I want to see Joe come back post Mania. I thought that maybe Joe might even be Bobby Lashley's hired gun in this scenario. That
you're probably right. It probably is going to be Joe at Mania.
That would be amazing.
That would be brilliant.
I will go nuts. And remember, MVP. Did he manage Joe for a bit?
Yeah.
TNA, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, and like Lashley, TNA as well.
Oh man, that would be.
It could be Joe.
That's nuts.
I would love that. If it's Joe, come on, bring it on. I would love that. Speaking of,
they put the US title on Joe as well. Oh man. Yeah.
One other thing, I think it was Flu that said it a couple of weeks ago about Bobby Lashley. What did he say about Bobby Lashley not messing up another promo? Bobby Lashley was all over the place in that opening segment.
He was right. We're missing Flu today. A lot of people were hoping to hear Flu's reaction to the Hurt Business splitting up, but we'll get him back next week. Okay, I think that's all about Raw. I want to ask you a few questions though. Now, I was on Hooked on Wrestling podcast this week with my man Ash Rose and a really very good co-host named Paul. And he came up with some interesting hot takes. Now, I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. Before I mention the hot take that he gave, who do you think is going to walk out the winner of the championship match at WrestleMania, the main event, Reigns, Edge, and Bryan?
I want it to be Reigns still. If Reigns isn't going to win, I want it to be Bryan. I don't want by any means this to be Edge.
But who do you think is going to win?
Edge.
Ace?
Edge.
That's interesting because I thought Ace was going to say what Paul said. Paul said Bryan because he said, think about it. He said, Bryan's in this match for a reason. He said, obviously, Bryan's a great talent and obviously it makes the storyline go great and whatnot. And the match would be great with all three of them. But also, we haven't had it's been a COVID year. We haven't had any live crowd matches for a while. This is the first match they had in front of a live crowd. They probably want to end WrestleMania with the yes chant.
Let me tell you why Bryan's in this match.
Okay, so you don't agree?
I get it. I get that. I get that take 100%.
I was a bit like, yeah, that's a good shout.
I 100% get that take. But Bryan is in the match to take the pin.
Against
Edge, like they've built Roman to such a stature. If Edge pins Roman, it's not going to be the end of the world, but it's not going to look great. Bryan can take a pin.
So you still think it's Reigns going to win?
And remember, Edge told Reigns on SmackDown that you're the guy that says you got stroke over here. So if you let Bryan into this match, I can pin him and you lose your title. Edge told that to Reigns straight up. So.
I just can't see Bryan. I feel like Bryan is in the match so that Roman doesn't have to be pinned.
Okay, that's interesting. So you think Bryan's taking the pin, not Edge?
No.
Okay, that's interesting. All right. Or what if Bryan's in the match so Reigns don't have to be pinned?
That's what I said. Bryan's in the match.
Saying, yeah.
Yeah, Bryan's in the match.
In the words of Bryan still win it, but beats Edge.
What are you talking about?
What if Bryan wins it, but doesn't pin Reigns, but he pins Edge to win it?
Edge is going to win.
I can see that.
Why do you think Edge is going to win?
It's the story, man. 10 years to the day, bro.
I just don't see Edge. I don't see Edge coming in and doing that. But
I hope you're right. I don't want him to win.
I could totally be wrong. It's true. All right, it's interesting. It's interesting to see all these different ideas and where we think where this is going. AEW.
Yeah, you want to talk about SmackDown before we go?
Let's talk about. You know what? Do you think Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks is going to open up Mania night one?
Yeah.
Open up.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Apparently, it's been announced that they're main eventing like night one. It's been low-key announced that they are for sure the main event of night one.
Okay, apparently. That's history.
If it's true, yeah.
That's history right there.
But I guess you're right. If they're not main eventing, I guess opening up is the next best position.
Yeah. Christian Cage had his first match on AEW against Frankie Kazarian. You know what I thought? I thought to myself, because he wrestled against Frankie Kazarian, a former ex-TNA employee as well. I thought to myself, how many old TNA employees, original TNA employees, does TNA still have and AEW have? Because Christian Cage could probably lead the invasion of a TNA invasion at AEW.
Wow.
You got Frankie Kazarian, you got Christopher Daniels, they could probably get James Storm. They got Eric Young, but I think Eric Young might be sidelined with an injury, you know. He might be injured.
Yeah, I haven't seen him on TNA for a while now.
I think he might be injured. But if they can get a little good number, I mean, I know he won't have the Samoa Joes, they won't have the AJ Styles, it won't have the Bobby Roodes. But if they can get a little number in and let Christian lead a TNA invasion angle, would you like to see that?
Sorry, did Eric Young deserve the TNA championship?
When do you mean though? Like
when he had it? At the time he had it, did he deserve it?
He was over. No,
that's not what I asked you.
Sorry. I don't watch TNA like that, so I don't know whether you're talking about back in the day or you're talking about when he recently returned.
No, back in the day.
Okay.
He was over.
No, I didn't ask you if bare people have been over. Curry Man was over. Shark Boy was over. I'm asking you, yeah, if Eric Young, at the time they put the TNA championship on him, yeah, deserved to be the TNA champion.
Who did he beat for it?
At that time, they were going mad. I think he beat Bobby Roode, didn't he? Didn't he beat Bobby Roode?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
At that time, Bobby Roode was one of the best things in TNA back then.
I know that much.
I think at that time they didn't really build enough stars.
But because he was over, they gave it to him.
Yeah. I'm going to double check if it was Bobby Roode.
Yeah. But on while you're checking, what on Christian and Kazarian, the match was really good. I have to hold my hands up because I gave Christian a lot of shit about just being back wrestling and stuff like that. But Christian, that match was really good, but I don't like his finisher. I think in WWE he called it the Unprettier. Is that the
Unprettier? Yeah.
I think it's called the Kill Switch now, whatever. But I just think it's not enough. I don't think. I think what is this, man?
What?
Man's trying to hook a man's arms for bare long. Like, nah, man. Like that is not it's not an impactful finisher or anything, man. After a slog with Kazarian, I thought that was disappointing to put him away with just that.
You hit face first. It's like a pedigree.
It is, but pedigree, you jump at least and drop a man on his face. Like this is like a fall. Like,
sorry, it wasn't Bobby Roode. What am I talking about? It was Nick Aldis. He beat Nick Aldis.
Okay.
Yeah, at that time they wasn't doing great booking, man.
They were trying to do Daniel Bryan, basically. Remember?
Yeah, they were trying to do that. That was their version of doing Daniel Bryan, basically.
It didn't work. No. And I feel like a lot of people think that when he came to WWE, like how he was treated as unfair, and it kind of was because he had done a lot for TNA, but the truth is he didn't really deserve to be their champion.
No, but they could have done
coming to WWE to be a champion.
But they could have done something.
He was brilliant in Sanity, though.
With Sanity, they could have done something with Sanity. They could have done something with them. Like
he was brilliant in Sanity. And Nikki Cross.
Sanity was dope. Sanity actually worked, and they didn't. And they did nothing with them on the main roster. Nothing. So
they disbanded them.
Yeah. There's a few things to talk about AEW. The main event was very good. I didn't think it would be. I was worried about because Rusev's involved and Miro's involved, and I thought they're gonna make Rusev look like an idiot. But it was actually a really fun match.
Yeah, Arcade Anarchy, so they had all the like arcade games surrounding the ring. Just a street fight, a no holds barred match. I think this is probably going to be another high star rating according to Meltzer. And Best Friends have been involved in both of these kind of street fight, parking lot brawl kind of matches. So they're kind of carving out a niche for themselves in them. But hopefully this is Miro signing off with all the games and joke ting kind of stories, and he gets into something serious now.
It is. I think it's a nice little send off for that storyline. I noticed that who has the theme song for the Pixies? Where's my mind? I think is that Orange Cassidy's theme song? It played at the end. Was that because of Trent?
Yeah.
Oh, that was interesting. I was like, okay, they got the rights to that. And yeah, okay. And another thing, Cody split up with what's his name again?
So QT Marshall was that's the guy that runs the Nightmare Factory, the NXT, ultimately the performance center for them, and he was going to have an exhibition match with him. QT Marshall basically turned heel on Cody with the academy students, including the British boxer Anthony Ogogo.
Yeah, friend of the podcast,
getting his digs in and beating up Cody Rhodes as well. So yeah, it's like the academy guys and QT Marshall have created their own faction within the Nightmare Factory.
There's too many factions there's not enough factions in WWE, and there's too many factions in AEW.
I think this one makes sense though. It makes sense.
Okay.
At least it's like this is their big leader, the guy that's their trainer, and they're like obviously the students. So,
and I'm assuming Red Velvet made the save, tried to help out Cody because they're gonna probably tease a feud between Red Velvet and Brandy down the line when Brandy's back.
I don't think so. I think it's just because of the run-ins that she's had with Jade Cargill and Jade Cargill against Cody. So now she's kind of making the save, and then basically Jade Cargill might be the female that joins QT's faction, so to speak, as she is someone that's kind of graduated from the academy and taken on Red Velvet. So
what else is there to talk about? Not really much, really, is there? I mean, I know the Omega and the Good Brothers had a match with Pentagon and Ray Phoenix. That was fun. That was good.
And Laredo Kid, yeah.
That
was
pretty much it. Oh, I like the Inner Circle attacking
the Pinnacle.
Pinnacle. That was really good. That was a good segment.
Yeah. It was good to see the Inner Circle back.
So things are warming up. Okay. Well, next week is the WrestleMania week. Ace, are you looking forward to next week? It's going to be action packed.
Yes, we'll have. Will that be the show before Mania?
Yes,
we'll have a guest. We'll have a guest on that show actually next week.
Cool, and we'll have a guest on that show, and I'm also going to invite us to do a show with Rest Things after night 2 of NXT. I'm going to organize a little WrestleMania quiz, and we're going to do Kick Out versus Rest Things.
Oh, let's do it.
And we have a special guest, next week as well. So, all right, I guess there's much more for me to say. Anything before we sign out, Max, Ace?
Nope.
All right, well, keep following the Kick Out, keep subscribing, keep giving us questions, and we'll give you some more content. Thank you very much.